Hey guys, it's Luca from Learning MTG, and today I wanted to make a video. I was looking at these prices, kind of checking the Urza's Legacy foil commons. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just looking for like the worst commons in the set, and I'm going to see like what's going on with price, right? So for example, we have Giant Cockroach. Um, According to MTG Goldfish here, that's the cheapest foil in the set. So I'm just going to go on TCG and take a look at Giant Cockroach and show you guys what I've found. So it's actually selling for $25, near mint foil. Now, the light played foil and the moderately played foil have not really changed, about what you'd expect. Um, for those who have not bought and sold a lot of foils from these old sets, the old border foils as they're called, I bought lots and lots of these cards over the past few months. Basically, the probability of one of these being like a near mint foil is like 5%, and then light plate is like 90%. It's so easy for these things to get ruined because of the nature of it's really all surface stuff. Like normally when you have a magic card and you're like trying to see whether it's near mint or light play, you kind of look around the edges, you look at the corners, um, and that's where the vast majority of the time that's where you're going to have that ding that takes it down from near mint to light play. With these foils, you can have flawless borders and edges and corners, but the surface just kind of gets ruined naturally over time unless you keep them. You basically have to keep them in a sleeve, like in a binder. Um, the times that I've seen people have like still high quality foils from say Earth's Legacy has been when they told me it's just been in a binder for 20 years. Um, but other than that, if you put it in a deck and you use it, if you put it in your cube, um, if you leave it out, not in a sleeve, of course, because these things can warp. If they're around moisture, um, and even the oils on your hands. So even just like handling these things without gloves. Actually, when I buy these on whatever TCG, eBay, I actually use like gloves to handle these because I've heard the oils in your hand can ruin the surface. So what you get is it's very difficult to find a near mint foil giant cockroach, and then you get these weird situations where you know it's selling for 20 bucks. So is it really $20? I don't know. Um, it's tough because the commons there's so many more of these. If this was like a foil rare or even a foil uncommon, I'd be pretty confident that the price would stick. But with the commons, I just don't know how many of these exist. If people start cracking boosters of Legacy, you could find them pretty easily. But even then, I don't think that would really change the price because it's so expensive to crack a booster. So yeah, it's okay. So let's go through a few more. So Giant Cockroach, there's only one for 20. The next lowest is Opal Champion. So you can see, and I like to look at the last sold. So this is actually sold out. There's none available at Near Mint, and the last sold listing was for $9.50. That's a lot. TCG market's $2. So that means over the past month or so, it's gone from $2 to $9.50, and you can't find any. Um, and these are the worst ones. Like if let's say we move up to I don't know Raven Familiar. That's like a card you might. It's been in a learn at some point. I don't know if it's still in a learn. But definitely a type of card you could see in like a cube maybe, um, or maybe even an EDH deck. So let's see Raven Familiar. Urza's Legacy. It has been reprinted in Commander, so maybe it is a Commander card. So this is selling for $13.50. There's only two available, and the last sold listings for $8. So I mean, these things are going up. And it's not just It's not just the rares. I would have thought it'd be only the rares, but it seems like let's look at this one, Peace and Quiet. Okay, so there's a lot of these in near mint. There's 5 available. But you have to be careful, anytime you see these sellers, 19 sales, 434 sales, 321 sales, even 982 sales, there's a good chance that they're not really near mint. One of my friends who works at a store that sells magic cards, his rule is like if they don't have at least 20,000 sales, it's probably not really near mint when it comes to the old border foils. So, yeah, I mean, these prices are skyrocketing. You know, at first I thought it was just the rares, but it seems like even the uncommons and commons are going up a lot. Um, it's kind of surprising to me. I think, one possible explanation is, maybe there's people that are grading these. So if you're trying to grade a full foil set of Urza's Legacy, you need the near mint copy. So that could put some pressure on the price of a near mint copy. Another explanation is maybe people just want them for their EDH decks. I mean, this doesn't seem like an EDH card to me. Or it could just be speculation. People see the prices going up and are betting on the prices to keep going up. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some of that going on. So, yeah, I just thought I'd make a quick video, show you guys how these prices have been increasing. I would imagine the same thing is happening for Urza's Destiny. And honestly, it should also be happening for Mercadian Masks and Nemesis, because I'm pretty sure Mercadian Masks foils are rarer than the Urza's foils, and I'd say the same for Nemesis as well. Although people have been kind of late to the party. About 5 months ago, I started buying up all the foil rares in near mint from Urza's Legacy and Urza's Destiny, and then once those kind of sold out and I couldn't really find those at good prices anymore, I moved towards Mercadian Masks and Nemesis. So I noticed like other speculators probably are doing kind of the same thing, where they like work through the sets in order, right? So they start at Urza's Legacy, they go to Urza's Destiny, Mercadian Masks, Nemesis, Prophecy. Um, Actually, I think if you were gonna do it more strategically, you'd probably start with Mercadian Mask, Nemesis, and Prophecy, because I think those foils are actually rare. Probably due to the larger sizes of the sets. Um, but yeah, I think all these old border foils are going up like crazy. I will say that I basically created a portfolio of Magic cards as a long term investment, and they were partially sealed boosters, partially reserve list, because that's what I kind of learned from watching Rudy's channel. But then the rest of it was foils, probably more than half. I don't know how much of it was foils, maybe even 60%. I was just like, hey man, these foils are crazy. So I put it mostly in foils. And I think, yeah, over the past few months, the foils have way outperformed reserve list and sealed product. In my opinion, sealed product just can't grow at the same rate as these things. So, I do prefer investing in foils, old border foils, as opposed to sealed product right now. Although I do think there is a lot of potential when you have the boxes that have foils, like the Apocalypses and the Onslaughts and the Legions and Mercadian Mask, Nemesis. I mean, the older stuff, Urza's Legacy, I think people already kind of caught on to the value, but I think a lot of people don't realize if you open a box of Onslaught and you get a foil fetch, that foil fetch is going to be worth $2,000 plus if you grade it. So, and there's probably similar cards and Legions that you can open, or in Scourge or whatever. So, Invasion. So I think that's another place that I have been looking. If I can't find good deals for graded foil cards, I may start buying more of those boxes. And reserve list, I think reserve list, just too many people were focused on it. I think it got a little bit overheated, and I don't see that as being a a great place to park money for like long term, in my opinion. Um, Especially like the super heavily printed reserve list cards from Mirage or Ice Age or whatever that are kind of useless. When I do invest in reserve list cards, I do like to invest in cards that are used in constructed formats, particularly EDH. So, for example, the biggest purchase I made in the reserve list was Grim Feast, and I think that has been going really well. So I've been pretty fortunate with this one. I bought these at about half. I bought these around $10, and now they're at above 20. So that would be my advice. My advice would be if you're trying to invest long term for Magic, I would go for old border foils. The best would be to get graded cards, and then your second best bet would be go for near mint. Although be careful, most of the near mint cards that you buy on TCG are actually LP. So ideally, you want to get graded foils, and then if not, near mint LP. And then my next bet after that, if you want to invest in Magic, would be to buy sealed boxes of like Onslaught block, Invasion block, that kind of stuff, because I think those foils are really going to skyrocket in price and really increase the value of those boxes. And then my third option would be to go for any reserve list card that you think is going to start to pick up in EDH, because that's like the real pressure point, right? Is like that's why a Grim Monolith or a Wheel of Fortune is worth so much, because so many people want to put them in their EDH deck, and yet Wizards can't just reprint it like crazy. So there's kind of like a lot of demand and not enough supply. So yeah, that's kind of just an update and some of my thoughts on Magic investing. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.